Hey mamas, do you feel triggered by your kids fighting? In which case you are completely not alone. And if you feel that you're reacting disproportionately, especially with anger, I want to tell you why. So often when our kids fight, there is a lot of noise involved, there's a lot of physicality involved, and this can take us back to a time when we felt really unsafe as children for two reasons. Either you remember your parents fighting and the conflict between them, given that they're the two people that should be protecting you and making you feel safe, made you feel unsafe. We're not blaming them. Every parent has arguments, but we're saying that that's how you would have felt as a child when your parents were arguing and you were witness to that. Or it can be that you're being triggered back to a time when your system is being overloaded with noise, with unsafety, with unpredictability. Because let's face it, kids are super unpredictable. If your childhood was one that was marked or defined by unpredictability, by emotional kind of chaos, ups and downs, by drama, by not knowing what was coming around the corner, so that you needed to kind of be on high alert all of the time, just at a low level, but a high alert in terms of being able to cope with and manage whatever curveball might come around the corner, then the same feeling that you felt then will be triggered by your kids' unpredictable fighting. So what can we do to fix this? Well, first of all, we can notice that this is what is going on. So if when your kids are fighting, you notice that you're having a disproportionate response, either one of panic, one of feeling out of control, or one of disproportionate anger, then think back to when you may have felt the same way as a child. Essentially, this external trigger in your present is taking you back to feeling like you were a child in that unpredictable, unsafe, chaotic emotional environment. So you've noticed that there's that link already. So the second thing is to detach from what's actually happening in your external world. It's not the kid's fault that you feel like this. The wound was already there. They're just poking at that wound. And the fact that they're poking at that wound is because that wound needs healing. So actually we need to be grateful to our kids for poking this wound, because any wound that is triggered when it is poked means that it's not yet healed. So what can we do to heal this wound? We can reparent our inner child. How do we do this? By providing our inner child with the safety, with the love, with the validation, with the attention that she never got when she was little. She may have got a little bit, but she may not have got what she needed in the way that she needed it. Most of us didn't, because our parents weren't equipped emotionally to do this. They were emotionally immature, and that's not necessarily their fault. Either they couldn't change or they wouldn't change. It doesn't really matter. The fact is that you probably didn't get exactly what you needed in terms of love, care, and attention. This is why you're kind of vulnerable to these kinds of situations when your kids are fighting or ignoring you or doing the opposite or making you feel like you're a doormat or whatever it is. But today we're talking about kids fighting. So we want to make sure that this little girl feels safe. So she's the one that's reacting. Your inner child, is reacting to your kids fighting, not your inner adult. Your inner adult couldn't care less what your kids were doing. She can handle any situation. She's in control. But your inner child doesn't if it's poking at a wound that reminds her of her childhood. So it's about taking time out. You may feel overwhelmed. You may want to lash out at your kids. You may want to hit your kids even. You may want to do anything to stop what is going on. This is how you know that it's a trigger, because you will be pushed into fight or flight and you'll want to fight your kids. That's definitely what I wanted to do. I wanted to get in there and break the fight up and even, have a go myself. I was so triggered by it because it pushed me into a trauma response, fight, flight, or freeze. So you're recognizing this. You're recognizing that this is the effect it's having on you. Take time out. Know that you've already passed the threshold. You're in the red zone by this stage. Ideally, you want to learn how you get to this stage so that you can nip it in the bud earlier. But if you find yourself in that panic, angry, fight or flight situation, the only thing that you can do is remove yourself. Otherwise, you will just get involved. It will make things worse, as I'm sure you know. We've all done that. We've all made it worse. And that's not what your kids need. Your kids need to see that someone is role modeling feeling panicked and then feeling able to manage those big feelings. So remove yourself from the situation. Unless, your kids are about to kill themselves, they will be fine. They will just carry on fighting, or probably, if you're not there anymore, they'll stop. So leave the room. Do what it is that you need to do, and do anything that will calm your system down. And it's really important to know what exactly calms you down. Is that nature? Is it lying down? Is it breathing? Lowering your heart rate? And that's a set of tools that is super important that you can use at any point. So you need to be really clear on what is it that calms me down when I'm feeling like I'm in the red zone. It might be hitting something. It might be having to move your body and get that anger out. Whatever it is, do it. So remove yourself from the situation. Do it. And do not go back until you've calmed down, because you'll just get more triggered. You have to be able to calm down first and then go back to your kids. You want to be the parent that you need to be, not another child. So do what you need to do. Become that parent again. Allow your adrenals to settle. And it might take a while. It might take a while, depending on your childhood history. The more traumatic a childhood you had, or the more challenging a childhood that you had, the longer it will take for that cocktail of adrenaline and cortisol to filter out through your system. So be mindful of that. It may take a while for you to calm down. Do that. Do what it takes, because that's what you're role modeling to your kids, right? You want to come back as the parent and maybe explain what it was that you did to calm down so that they can then learn that themselves. So to recap, if you are super triggered by your kids, in this instant, we're talking about fighting, physical conflict, the boisterousness, the energy, the noise of it all, then recognize that this could be taking you back to a childhood wound that is not yet healed. How do we heal it? We heal it through recognizing that it's there, and we fill the gap that you didn't have filled, the gap of love and attention and validation by ourselves from within. And we do that by providing that love and attention and safety to our inner child, by reminding them that it's no longer the case that they're a child. You are no longer the child. You are now an adult. And we imagine someone older, more caring, unconditionally loving, parenting us through this situation, giving us the reassurance and the validation of what we're feeling right now, that it's okay, that we're okay to feel this angry and upset and overwhelmed. But we're no longer a child. It feels like it used to feel when we were a child, but we're not a child anymore. Now we're in the now, we're an adult, we have these tools, and do whatever it is to calm yourself down. So inner parenting, calming yourself down, and anything that lowers your adrenals back to where they were before the kids started fighting. If you want any more tips and tools on these kinds of things, please check out my website, www.laviniabrown.com. And if you want more personalized support on anything to do with inner child healing or parenting or triggering, drop me a DM. I would love to offer you a free discovery session, and we can explore exactly what's going on for you.